Good morning, everyone. Happy Easter. It is a beautiful day here in Naples, Florida, visiting my parents. Figured I'd take a quick walk around my dad's yard and show you some of the fruits he's growing down here in Florida. Figured we'd first start off with some figs. This is a black Madeira that I gave him a few years ago now. Doing really well down here. Ripened its last fruit, I'd say probably maybe 2 months ago. They don't ripen real well in the winter here due to some of the humidity they have and the cooler weather, but they do start ripening usually pretty early. You can see the new growth. It'll be putting on figs here very soon, and with the heat they get, they tend to ripen pretty quick in the summer. I've got a Calderona de Minor, one of my rare fig trees that I brought down here. My dad said he doesn't want any more fig trees though, so I think I'm going to end up popping this one for sale. So maybe stay tuned for that. Hopefully I'll have that here shortly. And then he's got one more fig tree that was supposed to be a Col de Dame Nor over there. But let me go over there and I'll show you that. Alright, so this guy was supposed to be Col de Dame Nor, but the figs are definitely not a Col de Dame. It produces figs, he likes them, so he's kept the tree. No idea exactly what type it is. It is a berry fig of some sort, but yeah, not exactly sure what. Alright, let's go take a look at some of the other trees out here. Okay, so we've got a few citrus trees here. This is a variegated kumquat, I believe. Oh, excuse me. You can see the variegated fruit here, very pretty. It's a sweeter kumquat. I believe it's a kumquat. I think there's a tag on it here somewhere. Let's see. It is, yeah, a centennial variegated kumquat. Not real bitter like a lot of kumquats can be, so it's got some good flavor to it. Produces most of the year. It's a little slower right now, but you can see it did have some blooms and it is producing fruit. Now here's one of his older trees that he first planted when he moved in about 5 years ago. And this is a kumquat of some sort. And the peels on these, the rinds, are actually very sweet, but the fruit itself is pretty sour. They make some jams out of them, and they'll sometimes put them in, like a fresh glass of water, just for a little bit of flavor. But yeah, kumquat. Let's see, head this way. Here he's got some tomatoes that are growing, putting on some fruit here. Usually tomatoes in Florida are grown in the winter when it's a bit cooler, but he'll be able to get away with it, pepper, he'll be able to get away with it for a little longer here before it gets really, really hot. Okay, here's a few more citrus trees that he's got. The citrus in Florida, and even starting in California now, has a lot of issues. I believe it's a bacterium that is spread by different insects, and it's kind of destroyed the Florida orange industry. So it's a little difficult to grow a lot of citrus down here. There are some native ones like finger limes and sour oranges that do well, and some have some sort of like immunity, and I know they're working on producing that for other types of citrus to try to protect them. Look at the size of the thorns on these. That would not feel good. But yeah, you can see the citrus tends to struggle down here, pretty mightily. Just a hard to grow variety, even though the weather's perfect for it. Until they get that under control, it's going to continue to be that way. So he's got a few planted. They produce a little bit, but not super healthy. Okay, he's got two of these guys, Spanish plums, and they just got done flowering. I think I saw some fruit forming. So here's one right here. So with any luck, he will get some fruit off of this year. And some back there. Some bigger ones down here. I've never actually had a Spanish plum before, so I'm not really sure what they look like or taste like, but we'll hopefully see. It's got 2 trees. This one's definitely smaller and younger. You can see all this growth though. You know, all this growth from basically here up is new. Don't see any fruit in this guy though. Alright, and this is a Ross Sapote. My father and I highly disagree on this tree. He says it tastes like icing, like cake icing to him. And to me, it tastes kind of like egg fruit. Just that little bit of a mild sweetness. So we'll see when this actually continues to fruit. I believe these are fruit on here. They could be flowers, but not exactly sure. So I think, if I remember, these sapotes take like 18 months to ripen. So it's going to be a while for those. And then back here, he's got some bananas that he transplanted. Bananas do really well down here if they have water. And he had these in a drier part of his yard, and they weren't doing well, but moved them over here where the sprinklers hit them, and they're taking off pretty good now. Couple small trees over here. This was a jackfruit that the deer got to and tore the whole top off of. Not sure that little guy's gonna make it. And he's been talking about planting something else there. This jackfruit is doing well. I imagine they have to get quite a bit bigger to fruit, considering the size of jackfruit normally, but looks nice and healthy. And then over here we have a couple of mangoes. This small guy here, he got from a nursery up on Pine Island. And when we went to plant it last year, and we pulled it out, it was a fresh air layer, or a fresh cutting. It had no roots. I mean, just none. So I'm actually surprised that it survived, but it's definitely not thriving yet. This mango over here, though, he grew from seed. And they always say when you grow mangoes from seed, to discard the tallest, fastest growing one, because that one tends not to be true to variety, or true to type. I have no idea if it's a old wives' tale or if it's true, but we should find out with this one, because that's what this one was. So we'll see. Alright, here's his carambola or starfruit tree. You can see the flowers were starting to bloom here, and hopefully they got pollinated enough and will produce some fruit. It should put out a decent crop, because there's flowers on several of the branches, so hopefully we'll get some starfruit this year. One of his mangoes, he's got several varieties. I don't remember which ones are which, but you can see that they are forming nicely here, and there are plenty of mangoes on this tree. He will have plenty to eat if they all stay. We have noticed a few dropping. It seems like the tree really doesn't like to have more than one mango per finger on these. I don't know, someone that grows mangoes better than me would probably know what these are called, but you can see one usually stays healthy, and then the other one tends to dry up and fall off. Moving over here is his sweet apple. I haven't seen any. Oh, I take it back. I didn't notice the flowers, but if you look closely, you can see there is fruit forming on this tree. Actually, there's a lot of fruit forming on this tree. Huh. I thought I paid pretty close. Oh, you know why? Here's what the flowers look like. No wonder why I didn't see them. That flower looks like a leaf. And then it forms into a fruit, apparently. Huh. Interesting. Again, I may know a lot about figs, but I don't know much of anything about a lot of these southern trees here. So, oh yeah, he's got fruit on every branch, so he should have a decent crop of these this year. And let's see, over here is I don't know what this is actually. I think he just planted this recently. Avocado maybe. Is there a tag? Let's see. Bought him some of these tags to start using. This is a egg fruit. Okay. Canistel. Little guy, ways to go before he has fruit. This guy was his, let's see, soursop. He really liked the drinks that it made. It did defoliate when they got down to about 37, 38 degrees and dropped all of its leaves. It's coming back now. Another mango. You can see that guy is loaded with fruit too. Should have a decent mango crop this year. And then this is one of his guavas. Don't remember, I don't think he knows. He just called it pink. I don't think it's a strawberry guava because it puts out some very large fruit. Probably the largest guavas that I've ever seen. But the neighbors love them. A little too seedy for my taste. I don't really like, swallowing the seeds or spitting them out and having to chew around them. This is a sour orange that he's got growing. Puts on oranges all year round. Not impacted at all by the bacteria I was talking about earlier. I did try to graft some satsumas onto this, but I don't think any of the grafts took, unfortunately. These oranges are very sour, so they're really only good for jams or flavoring your water. This is his Barbados cherry. It produces little cherries. Folks will tell you they taste like northern cherries. They don't. I mean, they're decent, but they're not as sweet or as juicy. It's more of a, almost like a raisin type of texture when you eat it. But still tasty and a nice little treat. Papayas. Papayas grow like crazy down here. I'm not sure of the variety, but they're tasty. I like papaya a lot. His lychee. He hasn't gotten a big crop of lychees up until this year, and this year looks like he may have a decent sized crop. You can see the 3 lychees forming right there and more behind it. And every branch has those, so even if, half of them stay, he should have quite a bit of lychees fruiting this summer. This is another one of his mangoes. Not sure. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This isn't the mango. This is his Chico Sapote, which I love. They taste kind of like brown sugar, but they also have a little bit of a sandy texture to them that some people don't like. I don't mind it, and they take a while to ripen. You can see the new ones forming right behind this. So they have fruit just about all year, but usually ripen sometime in the January, February time frame. This is his mango tree. Not doing too great. I think this is a pina colada mango. I don't see any mangoes forming on it, so he may not get a crop on this year. I know this one hasn't been his healthiest tree, so there have been talks about if it's time to get rid of it, move on. Headed over here quick. These are some rainbow eucalyptus that I got for Teresa. They were about half that size just a couple months ago, so a real fast grower. Here's the other one. We've planted 4 of these on this property. As they get bigger, in about 5 years, they should have some rainbow colored bark on the trunk as they get larger. This guy's a new tree that he planted. This is similar to lychee. Trying to remember the name now. Longan. This is a Kohala longan. If you guys saw the video we did on the tree market that we went to, this was the tree we picked up. It seems to be taking on pretty well here and starting to grow a little bit. So hopefully that'll do well and fruit for him in a couple years. Just noticed along the wall here, he's been spreading around his dragon fruit. And you can see he's got dragon fruit going up this fence now. And you can see another one down there. And he just breaks them off and then usually sticks them in the dirt and they grow. Some of the beauty of living in a tropical paradise, I suppose. I almost missed this little guy. This is his cashew. Not growing super fast, but doing okay. I'm not sure how big they have to be before they start producing some nuts. I don't see any flowers or any fruit on it, so it might be a little bit longer. Okay, my favorite tree that he has is this loquat. This loquat produces these little yellow fruit, as you can see up there. I've been fighting the birds for him this year. Let me see, I did bag some. See if there's any easily reachable ripe ones, because they are delicious. Hold on one second, I'll be right back. It's too hard to do with one hand. Okay, here we go. So this is a loquat. Not a real big fruit. And they are really bitter if not perfectly ripe. This guy's just a little bit hard still, so he's probably a little underripe, but I'm going to try him anyway. Oh, still so good. They have usually anywhere between 1 to 4 seeds inside of them. They taste kind of like a peach with a citrus tang to them. I'll tell you what, they are one of my favorites. I like mangoes, I like papaya, but these loquats are a treat. Really, really delicious. Okay, here's another one of his guava trees. He gets one heck of an abundance of guavas. I mean, this whole tree, every branch is loaded with guavas that are the size of softballs, and it bends over just about every branch on it, and breaks several off a year usually. He's got an avocado that it did well when he first planted it, and then they had that big hurricane come through and it stripped it, uprooted it. He put it back in and just never really been the same since then. It's got some new growth coming. He keeps hoping it'll recover. I keep telling him to pull it and start over, but he's stubborn. We'll see. And then around the side here, we've got the other tree that we bought at the tree market, which was the miracle berry. And it's doing okay. It's got some new growth coming. Didn't have a real big root ball on it when I planted it, so we probably should have staked it, but we didn't. So I think it's starting to recover a little bit from that transplant shock, and it's putting on some new growth, so it should do pretty well. And then down at the corner of the property there is where we put the other 2 rainbow, I always want to say rainbow cypress, it's not right. But the other 2 rainbow trees that we had gotten for Teresa. All right, and over on the side of the property, you can see the dragon fruit that he's got going. He got several off of them last year. The only problem, as you can see, is it's close to a road. So he said he picked a couple and then had quite a few more that were starting to ripen. And he said that it could have been deer, it could have been animals, but my guess is passerbys saw them, came, grabbed a few. It's bound to happen when you've got fruit on a public road like this. A couple more things to see in the yard. Over here we planted a mulberry. I believe this was a Pakistani mulberry. Let's see if he labeled it. It is an Australian mulberry. Starting to put on some new growth. Hopefully we'll have fruit here shortly. Speak of Teresa, it must be time to go for Easter dinner. All right, got one more tree to show these guys. All right, and last item to see is his, I don't know what you'd call this, but a passion fruit cage, I guess. He had this for years, and his passion fruit vines completely died out for some reason. And so now he's starting new ones, and they're just starting to take off. They had some flowers on them. I don't see any fruit forming, so they must have dropped with some of the colder weather that they had. So yeah, these vines will cover this whole thing at some point and produce an abundance of fruit for them. So anyway, happy Easter everybody, and I hope you guys are enjoying the beautiful day wherever you might be and spending some time with family and just relaxing a little bit. Look forward to seeing everybody with figs here shortly. Take care everybody. I'm PA Figs.